Well, thanks for the opportunity to participate in this forum. It's so thrilling to see Music Portland, the advocacy, the support for musicians, the bringing together all aspects of the live music and music culture, as you mentioned, not only musicians, but also manufacturers. We mentioned venue owners, the labels, recording labels. And I think it's important to note, as you've talked about, Mira, in the past, is that our music scene here is disproportionately live. And while places like Nashville might have big recording industries, we have some of that too. But our musicians rely on live music. And so they are absolutely, both musicians and venues are being slammed right now. The fact that the state unemployment office mangled the benefits process for gig workers like musicians, and that people have waited for weeks and weeks and weeks, has been very painful for those affected. And Music Portland has been right there advocating for that to be addressed in as timely manner as possible. And so I want to congratulate you on that. It's something that, from my little bully pulpit on social media and reaching out to the employment department and reaching out to elected local state legislators and state senators to weigh in on this issue with the department and with the governor. We've gotten some progress, but there's more work to be done. But thank you, Music Portland, for that really important, real-time advocacy. The issue of venues, I also want to do a shout out to Jim Bromberg, Revolution Hall, Mississippi Studios, who was one of the creators of a new national organization called National Independent Venues Association. That work as well is so very important, calling for changes in the so-called Paycheck Protection Act. For restaurants, it doesn't work. For performance venues, it clearly doesn't work. To think that you could get a loan as a performance venue and be up and operating in 8 weeks is just provably, demonstrably dumb. It's not going to happen. And so we need more flexibility. We have representatives in the area, in the Senate and in the House, that are in key places in Congress. And we all need to continue to reach out to them to put more muscle behind this, in addition to the individual outreach that some of us are taking on this issue. I really call on the City Council to pass a resolution on the issue of making changes in federal assistance that are more beneficial, more accessible, more realistic for venues. If that resolution was passed, then the full lobbying muscle of the city would get behind it. And Portland has full-time paid lobbyists in Washington, D.C., and that City Council resolution would also make this stand out from all of the other impacts of COVID-19. In terms of my work on, so that's sort of short term. On the longer term, I was arts commissioner for 8 years. We did Act for Art, which was the city's first arts and culture strategy, and I think it was 16 years, included a lot of help. I had great colleagues with Jennifer Yoakum, later Carrie Clark, Jeff Hawthorne from RAC. It included a lot of input, but I think they and I would be the first to admit, as you sort of spoke to earlier, Mira, because there wasn't an organization as robust as Music Portland, I think that the local music concerns and opportunities were not necessarily included in that. We tried, we did a lot of outreach, but there is no substitute for having an organization like Music Portland. It's time for a new Act for Art. It's time for a new strategy for the city of Portland. Part of what we did in the 8 years was to increase funding for the arts, general fund funding, including We doubled the Percent for Art program for the city. We increased, we put on the table a match for workplace giving for arts and culture. We funded the Right Brain Initiative. We worked to create with hardly any city money, Milepost 5, which was a performance and living space, live workspace on 82nd Avenue. And we worked with East Portlanders to put the first neighborhood arts strategy together for East Portland. And we spent—
Sorry, Sam, we've reached your time. Sorry.
And I look forward to answering your questions.
Okay. Given that some estimate sustainable live performance income may be unavailable to artists until 2021 and slow to rebuild, what creative ideas might you have to explore to create funded opportunities for musicians that provide civic value to Portland? Think Works Progress Administration, or WPA, or the Federal Music Program of the Great Depression.
Absolutely. And, everything from Listen Local, which we initiated with the city's Hold Music. This was put together by staff member Carrie Clark, who, instead of paying for Muzak, we had local bands on the Hold Music. And we worked to get other governments to also have local music and announce who the players are. So I think that more people need to not only know that live music exists, but get to know the musicians, get to know, who they are as a person. That will only help create the army of crusaders we need to get more funding for musicians. I think the city, this is an indirect, but I think the city should prioritize meeting space, to rent meeting space at the existing venues. Those meetings are usually during the day. That will help the venues with some cash flow, and then look to recruit other businesses and other governments to do that as well, as opposed to paying a hotel for a room or something like that. I think that the other way is that the city can help is by hiring musicians. When I started first Thursdays at City Hall, and almost every Thursday, every month we had a new art showing, and then we also had musicians there. And I encouraged them and we have lots of people every month come in, and I encouraged musicians to obviously sell themselves regularly during songs, to talk about who they are and they're available, and also to sell their items. The other thing, it's a little further afield, and I don't know how to go about it exactly, but I would reach out to Spotify and to Pandora and the other massive mega streaming platforms and ask them to create a local channel that we in turn can all market and build a would help with, and any revenues that come from that can go back to the artist, and MusicPortland can help promote that as well.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you.